Welcome to English with Fiona. We're going to learn English with the news today. Trouble brewing. Climate change puts tea drinkers in hot water. So we have some nuances in the title here. Brewing means that something is building up, something is going to happen. A storm is brewing. Trouble is brewing. It means it's coming. You can anticipate it. And to be in hot water is also to be in trouble, to be in a predicament that is not good. So global warming will make it harder for tea producers to achieve consistent flavors, with higher temperatures reducing sweetness in the crop, a new report warns. Let's have a look at the vocabulary here. So will make it harder, so they're using the comparative here, not the hardest, but it's going to become harder for tea producers to achieve consistent flavors. The higher temperatures, again, same idea, comparative, higher temperatures, reducing sweetness. So they're showing how the temperatures are increasing and the sweetness is decreasing, reducing sweetness in the crop. The crop is how we talk about agricultural products. So your crop can be anything from potatoes to tea, to coffee beans, to fruit. That is the crop. Let's continue with our article. So there's trouble brewing for tea lovers, as the flavor of the beloved hot drink is under threat from climate change. So we can have tea lovers, people who love tea, and the beloved hot drink. So isn't it interesting how the word from love, we can have lovers, people who love, and the flavor of the beloved hot drink. Rising temperatures and worsening weather extremes in countries could make the taste of tea more bitter and harsh, with less consistent flavors. So again, we're talking about the changes here. So you'll see they're using words like rising, harder. Things are changing, they're comparing it. Worsening weather extremes. Let's have a look here at some descriptions. So they're talking about the taste of tea could become more bitter. So if we describe something as bitter, it means the taste is not sweet. It's quite a harsh, they use the word harsh, taste if something is bitter. Could be coffee without sugar. Some people prefer more bitter coffee. Some people prefer it more sweet. Flavors are what we taste. So the flavor of chocolate, the flavor of seafood, fish. This is the taste of it. In a new report, warns that the biggest impact is on smallholder farmers and producers. So we're talking about the biggest, so now we have a superlative here. The biggest impact is going to be on smallholder farmers and producers. A smallholder is your smaller agricultural producer. So not a large commercial farm, a small holder. A hold is an area of land that you look after. So a small holder makes it a noun, er. And they will be worst hit. So again, a superlative. Worst hit by the climate change, along with the rising price of fertilizer and fuel stemming from the Iran war. So stemming means that this is what is feeding it. This is causing it to change. So the rising price because of the Iran war. Tea production relies on stable temperature and rainfall conditions. So if something is stable, then it is consistent, even, not changing much. And these are now shifting. So shifting, changing, moving. Something is different. If it shifts, it moves to a new position. Optimal growth conditions. So if something is optimal, it means it is the ideal, the best growth, or the best sales could be. An optimal condition is the more perfect conditions. And they are within. So within tells us there's a point A and a point B. They are within a range. And it's within a relatively narrow temperature range. So narrow is like thin. If something is wide, it's the opposite, narrow. They talk about narrow lanes, could even be a narrow way of thinking. A narrow temperature range. So we talked about within the range, and it's a narrow range. So this optimal growth, these ideal conditions, it's quite a small area. 13 to 30 degrees Celsius or 55 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. And with adequate, adequate means sufficient, so enough, but not excessive. Excessive is too much. Let's continue to our next page, where they talk about even tea growers in the UK. This is an article of Sky News, so they're looking at the UK. Are experiencing climate change that is making it much harder. So we looked at harder earlier to show comparatively, and then we can use something to identify that more, much harder to achieve consistent flavors. Disruptions to harvest. Okay, 2 words here. Let's look at harvest. So we talked about crops. This is to do with agriculture. And harvesting is when you collect what you have grown. You can harvest apples, you can harvest grapes. Harvesting is collecting. They also talk about it as a harvest season. In fall or autumn, there is harvest. So disruptions now to harvest caused by the changing climate. So what it's saying is that in our normal harvest season, or the time when we would harvest or collect our fruit or produce that we have grown, it's being disrupted. So it could be caused by excessive rain, excessive wind, changing temperatures. Something is causing it to have a break, a pause, a disruption. And these are likely to, remember, likely to goes together, to cause price spikes. So what is a spike? A spike is when suddenly it increases. Rising costs and unreliable supplies of the cuppa. Let's have a look at the cuppa first. It's a very British term, the cuppa, a cup of tea, a cuppa. And unreliable, something is unreliable, it's the opposite of reliable, to rely on something. But unreliable means that you cannot trust that it will always happen. It won't always be there for you. It's unreliable. Tea flavors and quality depend on a balance of compounds such as, okay, these are just compounds, amino acids, polyphenols, and catechins. So, however, showing a contrast, higher temperatures increase the production of more astringent. That's a nice word, astringent. So astringent means that something is more severe, more drying, more disruptive on cells. So the production of more astringent compounds. So remember, our compounds now are these words that we looked at here. So if you've got chemicals, nutrients, compounds that are more astringent, they are more severe, more harsh, more drying. So they're saying, to show the contrast, however, higher temperatures increase the production of more astringent compounds, while, so it's happening at the same time, while reducing sweetness, leading to a more bitter taste. Thank you. Let me know which words were new for you today, and write them in the comments below. See you next time.